What if the answers you're searching for are already within you? Here at Richer Within, we believe they are, and we're here to help you discover them. I'm Catherine, joined by Dynamo Dr. Pat. Together, we blend science and spirituality to guide you in reconnecting with your inner wisdom and unique magnificence. Tune in for inspiring stories and practical strategies to boost clarity, embrace your worth, and spark meaningful change. Ready to unlock your inner wealth? Start your transformation now.
Wow, everyone, how cool is that? This is a great show. I get to take this journey with the one and only Catherine Richer. And I want to tell you that when I saw what we were going to talk about today, it's Epiphanies, where sudden clarity sparks lasting change. Such a great topic. As a matter of fact, if we can only be aware of how many of these things are happening all the time, but for many of you out there, you absolutely know that your hearts, your lives, your minds are being touched so many more times than we are aware of. But Catherine, great topic, great show. Tell me about this, right? How did this pop up for you? I mean, clearly you and I talk a lot and we know about these epiphanies, right? But boy, man, I wish I would have paid more attention.
Attention is the first one, and we'll definitely talk about that in terms of how to cultivate and how to really expand yourself through epiphanies that can happen in daily moments. I've had epiphanies riding the city bus across bridges. I've had epiphanies from dreams. I've had epiphanies through music. So, they're really those moments, those like supernova bursts of, oh, oh. It's an instant, and it bursts our world open. And all of a sudden, we have new insight, we have clarity, we have creative breakthroughs, and they can also be really profoundly deep. And when we follow them, when we believe them, we can be led to inspired transformational action.
When we're thinking about these things and we're thinking about how they show up in life, I'm just curious for you. Where did you get your first recollection or something that you remember and you were like, oh, this is an epiphany. It's like a moment, isn't it?
It is a moment. And I've thought about this a lot in preparation for sharing today. And what I'd like to share is the most transformative epiphany that I have ever had in my entire life, as an example of the potential that they have and we all have within them. So, and this happened when I was dating someone quite a few years ago, and he physically assaulted me. And there was a moment I did not know if I was going to get out alive. And in that moment, I felt this, oh, this is how millions of women have felt over thousands and thousands of years. And I felt this, it was an existential moment, and I felt a connection with all of these women. And it was crazy to have that in the midst of this thing, but I did, and I did survive. In fact, I actually took that as a change agent. And the epiphany led me to inspired action to turn that into the most positively transformative event in my life. And that is the potential power within epiphanies.
Yeah, I love that story because what we're doing is we're opening this up now energetically for people. So let's talk about the word epiphany. It's one of those words that it takes a hot moment to be like, oh, yeah, there's that word. But that word has so much depth and meaning. Give us a little background on that because that's going to help people understand how often this is happening in their lives.
Yes. Some people who are raised in a Christian tradition think of Epiphany as the time, the season that happens after Christmas, and the Magi have discovered the Christ child, and the wisdom in that, and the surprise in that. Oh, it's a child, okay. And it actually has its roots in ancient Greek. And the word epiphany means manifestation or striking appearance. And so in religious context, it often referred to divine revelations, and which brings us to spiritual epiphanies. And this is what I love to see as an example that I witnessed in Rome when I was there is this beautiful bronze sculpture of the ecstasy of Saint Teresa.
Mm,
And this was done by Gian Lorenzo Bernini in the mid 1600s. And it's a depiction of Saint Teresa of Avila, who's a Spanish Carmelite nun, during a mystical moment that she described in her autobiography as an angel piercing her heart with a long golden spear.
mm.
And she wrote that the pain was both terrible, but filled her with divine love that was this caressing of God, so sweet, and left her on fire. So that's a spiritual epiphany that she had. And we can all have a spiritual epiphany because they really are those moments of a deep connection with something greater than ourselves, whatever that is to you, the universe, to nature, to the divine, to love, to God, to ancestors. It's the inner higher self experience.
Yeah,
And they often provide us with this clear, crystal clear clarity about our life's purpose, about the nature of existence, about our place in the cosmos. Really broad range. And so these are the spiritual epiphanies.
yeah. And it's so cool that you were able to describe it in this way because one of the things that happens with the phrase like epiphany, people think that it's something so far out of their reach. It's something that maybe 1% of the people on the planet get to experience. But they come in many, many forms. This is what we're talking about today. What are the other types of epiphanies?
Well, we have the eureka, the light bulb, the intellectual epiphanies, if you will. And these are when we have this whoa, sudden clarity about a solution to something that we've been trying to solve. We may have like an example of that is Isaac Newton's realization that a falling apple and the orbiting moon are both pulled by the same force. So it's an intellectual aha of these problems that have been perplexing us for some time. Mhm.
But wait a minute, because we cannot do this without the last one. And this is the part, this emotional epiphanies, those are the ones that are like a hot potato, in your hand. It's
Mhm.
like you feel them, you know it's on fire, but man, you can't wait to get that thing out of your hands because emotions. So what do these look like? How did they show up? And have you had an experience of any of these?
Yes, yes, and yes. The, the emotional epiphanies are those really deep insights into our own psyches. And they can uncover hidden aspects of our personalities. They can bring attention to patterns that we hold that we weren't aware were there. They can reveal root causes to some of our anxieties and some of our deepest fears. And, it's kind of like finding a key to a locked room that you didn't even know was there. One example that I experienced was I was hiking by myself one day in the woods and I ran into these two men on the trail. And one of them was really attractive. And we talked briefly and they went on their way and I went on my way and I started this whole reel of oh, obsessing about, oh, wow. Oh, well, maybe he'll wait for me at the bottom of the trailhead and I'll get off the trail and he'll invite me to coffee and then we'll do this. And then I was creating a future with this person I didn't even know. And I recognized that and realized there was a broken record in there that I kept on, that needle kept on playing. It was incredible. But once I recognized it, then I was able to spend the rest of the hike rewriting, redoing the narrative that created that. And it was really insightful. So these things, they can happen in a moment like that. And it can be something also that happens, it helps understand a mystery in our life. Like, oh, that's where that came from. Or, oh, that's why I do that so often. Or, oh, now I understand. It's like, I learned about a family secret. And that knowledge literally was a key that once that clicked, I knew, I understood what was hidden, but I had a sense was always there. And it made a lot of sense out of a lot of things that had not made sense prior to that.
Yeah. And when we think about this, let's just stop for a moment and talk about you because, I'm here for those of you just tuning in. This show is Richer Within. It's with Catherine Richer because I want to really go pinpoint for this moment the birth of Richer Within. You see, because sometimes all those three things kind of pile up and come together and poof, there you are, right? But
Hmm.
the continuous evolution,
Hmm.
the growth of an idea, a seed that's planted, it grows into its own codex of sorts. But what we have is to see how these epiphanies show up in your life, but also more importantly, the work that you do
Hmm.
integrates all that work to help people find their own level of awareness, right?
Yes. Yes. And thank you for saying that because that richer within peace is the constant reminder for myself. The irony is my last name is Richer. So I'm reminded all the time that it is within. And the ability to have epiphanies is also within us. It can happen in all sorts of different contexts, like in that crazy moment that I had, like on the bus, like in the woods, like in conversation with somebody where something clicks in. And the key is that inner awareness. And the beauty of it is, you mentioned, because we can really work with these to serve our evolution. And when we have them, you might notice that there seem to be these serendipitous things that happen afterwards, coincidences, I like to call them, because we co-create our lives with that infinite wisdom, that it keeps on leading us towards that path of what the epiphany opened up for us. And that's the beauty of these epiphanies is they're not just fleeting moments of brilliance. They can be, but they actually integrate existing knowledge with new insights. And they actually can rewire our brains through neuroplasticity, which we all have. And so, like each of these epiphany can create a new neural connection, rewriting the old, just like I started to do down that
Yeah,
trail when I realized I had a broken record. Well, that broken record then dissipated and eventually almost 100% disappeared. You know, they're like a blueprint for a mental makeover, if you will. And
yeah.
knowing the power of the power of the mind. This is an incredible thing to tap into, this inner wisdom through epiphanies.
Yeah,
And
I
there's a
want
science. Oh, go ahead.
no, I want to talk about the science around it because, I had an epiphany over the weekend, and of course, I always think about the shows I'm going to do in advance. So, of course, a little influence here. But, when I'm talking about an epiphany, it comes in different ways. Now, look, I'm not always the most aware person. So let's just say that. So the universe is smart. Yesterday, critical day for our launch on October 31st, critical technical
Mhm.
day. And I had three different programmers ready to do design. And we go to log in, and what do you think it says? Critical error. It it took me 32 times for that to show up, for me to realize, oh, it's not about that, is it? And of course, I contacted the programmers, and of course, it was fixed. But the day that I had hired people to work on this didn't happen. And it had to happen yesterday in order for us to meet the launch of the 31st. So, what do you think the epiphany is?
What was your epiphany?
The epiphany is, and I heard it loud and clear, why are you holding on to the story of launching October 31st, Pat? Everybody is going to be focused on Halloween. Why aren't you waiting to the week after?
There you
So
go.
let's talk about that and how we can cultivate and nurture these epiphanies. Because you see, for me, I happen to see this outline.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, and I'm going to move the date. Now, the
See,
day
so
wasn't wasted, but the date is going to be moved.
hmm So that's the inspired action that you're taking.
Yeah,
Rather than taking it as a setback or you did something wrong or the universe is not in alignment with you, you're like, oh, well, I'm taking inspired action because now I
yeah,
understand. I
yeah,
understand the whole thing. And
yeah.
that's really incredible that you were able to do that.
Well, I looked at your list, and then well, let's talk about that now. I looked at your list, and it was very clear to me that one of the things you talk about doing is, and let's go through it real quick. But I did one of the things on the list. I stopped, I dragged Linda out to the garage, we turned on the music, and we played ping pong. So, but go through the list because, see, if we
Brilliant.
don't understand how to nurture this, plus the way we're going to end the show today,
Hmm.
we just stay stuck.
Yes. And you did brilliantly because you knew that you needed to create some space for insight. Right? And so that's exactly what you did. And that can be what you did. You played ping pong. You got your mind off it. You did something new that was creative that involved your body. These you can do that. You listen to music. You did all those things. That's fantastic. You can play a musical instrument. You can beat a drum, create something, let your mind wander. You can also have a quiet inward meditation, contemplation, journaling, whatever. Really, it's about whatever helps quiet our constant mind chatter so that the insight can reveal. And good sleep helps a lot, by the way. You can
It,
sleep on it, right? Because we often have these eureka moments. I had one when I woke up this morning that kind of changed the direction at the beginning. And I have epiphany through dreams. You changed up your environment. That was another one of the things on the list is to shake it up. Get out, nature, travel, some type of novel environment. Get out of the norm. And for you, that ping pong is so incredibly grounding for you, and that
well,
is incredible.
yeah. And this is what I'm trying to say. I mean, we do these shows, but you and I prep for them, right? And so part of this is really looking at those things we could do. But the bottom line is we can turn these epiphanies into lasting change. And, you know,
Yeah.
today we're going to end the show with something very special. And I like to call it the cork that gets put in the bottle. And what I mean by that is sometimes these epiphanies are elusive. They can slip out. You want to forget them. But spirituality, that's what we're going to do today. Before we do, I want to ask you a question. How did they turn into lasting change?
The first thing is to catch that supernova spark. It's have a system ready to capture it. If you take a note on your phone, if you make a voice memo, if you journal, text yourself, it's like the minute you feel it, see it, write it down. It does not, don't polish it. It's just write down the gemstone of it, right?
Yeah,
And then while that we have this dopamine response during epiphany as well as norepinephrine, and that's why it feels so good and why it's inspiring. In that moment is when you make this little micro commitment, like I am going to have this conversation differently today. I am going to meditate on this tonight. I'm going to take one small step of action toward that epiphany vision that was revealed to me. We also have powerful opportunities before bed to revisit our insights because you're really reinforcing the epiphany as part of your inner self and writing it into the subconscious. That's returning again to that rewriting our neural pathways, literally. And that happens really powerfully when we are in a subconscious state of sleep. Also, believe them. This is the same as any other type of insight, whether it's intuition, whether it's the body intuition, it's believing it, trusting in your experience and yourself, regardless of what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
Integrate that into your daily life. You can share it, but with trusted friends and spiritual guides or mentors who help support your growth. And then again, like the serendipity, you notice when you act on them, things, they don't fall into place. They are gravitationally pulled into place to support your decisions and your actions.
Yeah. And thank you for going through these because we're going to end the show in a very special way. But I will tell you, making that decision to move the date was very difficult. There are a lot of people counting on my team, like, why are we delaying it? But it was so clear to me. I mean, I couldn't do anything about it yesterday, right? And except pray for guidance. But here we are today, and it's not a mistake that we're moving that out. But I also missed the common sense part. Why would you launch a network on the most social media, TikTok, dress them up day of the year, Pat? Now, what I love about the way you end these shows is that you bring it together spiritually. So please tell us what you're going to help us with and walk us through today.
I will be offering what I like to call a spiritual mind spa treatment. There's nothing that you need to do except be open to receive, and I will just launch right in if we're ready. Okay. Uh, if you feel safe and are in a place to do so, to gently close your outer eye to indicate a release of the world as it is, so that we can enter more deeply the inner wealth of wisdom, which is that one place that is everywhere all of the time. It is that one power that lights up billions of suns. It is the presence that is the life force, that is energy itself, that is indestructible. It simply changes form. It is that one wisdom, that one infinite intelligence, that creative universal intelligence that spun all of this into being. All that we see, all that we cannot see, all is an individualized expression of that one mind, that one power, that one presence. I know that this is the truth of who I am, and because I know that, it is the truth of everyone within the sound of my voice. Everyone is a unique and beautiful and whole emanation of that, representation of that, an embodiment of that, a magnificent and unique expression of the one. And so, knowing this to be the truth of who they are, I call forth for everyone an openness to epiphany, to the oh that can change their life, whether in the course of their daily life, whether in the course of their dreams, that they are open to insight in a moment. That clarity that comes from that infinite intelligence that is unique to them and the life that they are living and that they are here to live. And that when they have the epiphany, the oh, the eureka, the now I get it, that then they are willing to and happy to and excited to move it forward with inspired action, led by their internal inner wisdom, what that action is, to believe it, to trust it, to move forward in it, knowing they are always fully supported. And I am incredibly grateful to know this is true. This is the truth, that we are supported and guided by this infinite love, this presence, and this power. And in gratitude, absolute conviction, and directed faith, I release this word, this vibration into the action and the activity of this universe, the quantum field of infinite potential, that unconditional love that always says yes. I simply let it be, and we welcome it to be by saying together, And
And
so it
so it
is.
is.
Oh,
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for such an amazing conversation here today because, I was asked a question by one of the planning people about something. And instead of trying to explain myself, I just answered it quickly. And I said, I got scared.
yeah.
I was driving a truck to a place that it didn't have to go. And I got scared that if I didn't drive it there and get it there when I thought it should happen, it wouldn't happen. That's
Instant
it.
clarity.
And
One
that's,
O can change your life.
yes, ma'am. Again, how do people work with you? Please give people information about how to best to contact you.
You can find me on richerwithin.com, and I'm also on Instagram. So
Awesome.
love, love, love to hear from you.
That was a great show. Thank you so much for all the work
Thank
you
you.
do to remind us of the elements that are available to us and to just know for us that we don't have to know everything, especially when we call on spirit to help. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you all out there. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Thank you for investing in yourself by listening to Richer Within with me, Catherine, and Dr. Pat. Continue this journey with us every third Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Feeling inspired? Visit richerwithin.com to explore one-on-one sessions, speaking engagements, and supportive services with me. Together, let's co-create a world that uplifts everyone through deeper living and conscious presence. Until next time, and always, align with your inner wealth of wisdom. Wow.